Myth Live, our group chat. My name is Sophia Stevens. I am your host of the Maiden Myth Podcast. And this is my beautiful co-host,
Jennifer Edison. Hey, y'all.
Hey. And then I have an incredible woman with me. She was actually on the episode that you all just heard, my hairstylist, Shetorra Nichols.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. You look gorgeous.
Thank you. So do both of you.
Thank you. So, how did you feel about that episode? Tell me your thoughts. You know, Shetorra was on the episode. Wait a minute. You shared with me how it made you feel.
So, first of all, I was obsessed with the episode, completely obsessed.
Okay.
And it took me through some emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It really took me through some things because I have a lot of gray hair. Okay. And I dyed them.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thought of just allowing myself to go gray, you know, I never even considered that. And so listening to the interview and how she was just so empowered by this gray, it started to make me, LaShonda.
Mm-hmm.
It started to make me feel like, okay, could I, do it? And the thought of that gave me anxiety. It made me want to run, but be empowered at the same time. It really did. Like, I'm like, yes, no. So it was like, oh, this episode was amazing.
It was so good. And even you saying that you have some coming in and you're like, you don't even know. Like, you're still at a crossroads of what am I going to do?
You could probably see some today. There's some slicked back up into this bun. But yeah, every day I feel like I wake up and there are new friends that have joined the party. They've joined the party. And I'm like, okay, I guess you're staying and we're hanging out. We're going to be besties.
So wait.
Because I'm still on the fence. I still haven't colored my hair.
Your hair looks
It looks dark because it is very dark.
Yeah.
But when you part it, I mean,
you see everything.
Products hide a lot.
Products hide a lot. That is very true.
And I think you mentioned how, it's not even just that it's gray. Yeah. The texture changes.
Absolutely.
It gets wiry. It gets unruly.
Gray hair has a mind of its own. It doesn't lay down. It doesn't behave. It doesn't press out the same. It doesn't curl the same. It does what it wants to do. So
it does.
It's a little bit of embracing the uneven textures as well that we have to deal with. So it's a challenge.
That's a little symbolic, right?
Yeah.
The gray hair is coming in like, I'm not abiding by any rules.
No.
It's almost like the older you get, you know how people, their mouth just gets loose. They say whatever they want to say. It's just like it's just making all the sense now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, of course, when we talk about gray hair and women accepting gray hair, automatically, I was thinking, we're accepting aging altogether. And I'm like on the fence now about that. I don't necessarily know if that's exactly what we're doing. Maybe some women are doing that, but what I notice, even when I look at women on Instagram, just online, you'll have this gray hair, but the skin is tight. And we even mentioned that on the episode. Everything is still tight.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And they even say if your hair is gray, it's even more important for you to make sure your skin is right because you will start to look older.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, wait, are we still running from this?
In a way, I think you are. In a way, you're picking up another battle by letting one other thing go.
That's
so
exactly what it
you
is.
may let your hair come in gray, but you're focusing more on other things. Maybe your body, maybe your skin, maybe there's other things that you want to still keep youthful,
Right.
even though you have this gray hair. So I think it's a little bit of it's a struggle. It's a battle.
And you don't see a lot of people embracing salt and pepper, and that's the most common.
That's
Is
true.
so true.
They still want that continuity of one color,
Right.
and it changes the look of gray.
Right.
Now it's trendy and it's
Absolutely.
cute and not necessarily old.
Right.
So is it really embracing age, or is it kind of just like working with your gray and flipping it?
I mean, I sometimes wonder, is there something wrong with being old? Okay, let's just pause for a second. I know your knees and your back are probably like, is there something wrong with getting old? But just hear me out. Like outside of what society, I know this may sound crazy, but outside of what society thinks, is there a reasonable reason to not want to just be old?
I don't think so.
No.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree. Because getting older means you're still here.
Right. But I also, that's number one, but I see a lot of older people even saying, I'm young. Like, I don't know. It's just, I'm just literally like trying to figure out.
It could be the morbidity that people, I feel like, also face with getting older.
Right.
You know that there is an expiration date.
Right.
You know that there is an end that is coming. So maybe it has something to do with that. So they're like, people always say, I'm only as old as I feel.
Right.
So I feel 35 or I feel whatever, because you know that you're getting towards the end of something.
Right.
So maybe it's dealing with that.
Yeah.
You know, that end factor possibly.
Yeah.
Like a subconscious reminder.
A reminder, like there's a clock. There's an expiration. Because honestly, what is the problem with aging? What's the problem? You can still do all the same things you've been doing. It's actually a little bit better.
Right.
You know, you're more seasoned, you're more understanding of who you are, of who the world is. You found your place. So what is the problem with aging?
What is the problem?
You know what? It could be that there's a false equivalency to youth is fun and lively, and then old is boring and dead and serious. And so people are trying to hold on to, well, I still want to be fun. I still want to live life. So I'm young.
Right.
You know? Right. And so maybe we need to start, and as we see more older people being who they want to be, doing what they want to do, and still living life and having fun, I feel like that idea will start to break down, and maybe we won't have to grab toward youth or that term as much.
I absolutely agree with that. In addition to that, I would love for those same older people, now mind you, my time is coming, but those same older people to embrace that I'm older and I'm having fun. Because if those older people keep saying, I'm young, we'll never get used to seeing old sitting side by side with fun and adventurous and old and, just flexible and old. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all of those things that they embody. They even say, I have youth in me. It's like, no, you old.
Yeah.
And you full of life.
You're full of life. And what's wrong with that?
And what's wrong with that? Right.
With that.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
That's major.
Yeah.
I think that could help create a shift if more older people would do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we even put pressure on our celebrity, loves. I think of so many beautiful celebrity women who are aging gracefully, and people will just be like, she don't look no younger. She still look the same. And I'm like, y'all, she does not.
She doesn't
look the same.
She sometimes even looks better.
Yeah. Like fine wine.
Right. And that's what people don't talk about. Some people, they
look
age and you look better.
You look even better.
You look better. You look way better than you did in your teens or your 20s. And but people don't want to talk or embrace that because once again, it's like, well, no, I have to look like I did. No.
Exactly.
What's wrong with aging gracefully and looking fabulous
and
looking better?
Better.
And that is exactly what I mean. Like, I see these women and I'm like, you do not look the same and you look flawed. As a matter of fact, you look like just incredible.
Yes.
I love that looking better. That's also a key. If we can start acknowledging that, like, I look as good as I did when I was 20. No, I look better than I did when I was 20.
I don't want to look like I did when I listen. There was a lot of fashion trends and things that were going on in my 20s that I would never want to repeat.
Ever again.
Never want to repeat. So better.
Yep.
You look back on those photos and you're like, ooh.
And you swore you were doing something.
Couldn't nobody tell me nothing with my French roll.
Yes.
Oh
and my finger waves.
And the finger wave and the glitter.
And the glitter.
You had glitter? Yes, girl, I had glitter. I might have had a little tail hanging down the back. It was a mess. A whole mess.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Wow. So let's go back to this episode.
Okay.
All right. There was something that really jarred me. The reason why this was a big deal for me is because I admit, even doing this podcast, I am realizing a lot of the issues that I thought were just single women issues really are just all women issues. And gray hair was one of those things simply because, I desire to be in a relationship. I desire to be married. But of course, there is this belief that I have, I don't know where it came from, but I had gray hair would make me less desirable, right? And of course, that's in the world, but I don't know how or when I began to own that myself. So then I'm freaking out when I saw that gray. I'm like, is this the beginning of the end?
Right,
whatever, right? So then to hear you say you had a client who was hiding her gray hair from her husband.
Oh, yes, she was. And she was coloring her hair. And I think I even told you, I don't know if I did, but she would tell me stories about how he had never seen her without makeup. And she would get up like an extra 30 minutes before he got up and full face of makeup, be dressed before he actually even got up for work. So there were some other issues besides the gray hair, which plays to me not into a very healthy relationship, but we'll leave that there.
Yeah.
But yeah, she never wanted him to see her with gray hair. And she had a lot of gray hair. She had a lot of gray hair. So she was very, very almost, I felt, tortured at the thought of almost letting him see her authentic self, who she really was. Wow. Yeah.
That struck me like never before. This idea that you have to be on in your own house. Like, it's one thing to be on when you go out into the world. Right. And I guess I had this idea, and I believe it should be this way, where you can be yourself in front of your spouse. That's the healthy way of doing things. But that's when you just brought to my attention, oh, this is not just a single woman's issue. It's not necessarily just for single women. This is all women.
It's
what this weight society has placed on us, and how our value is just so closely tied to the way we look.
Yes.
And then we sign up for these agreements. Like the mere fact that was an agreement that she had with her marriage or in her marriage, you know, I'm going to look a certain way. That's my job. Yeah. That's where my value is. And your value is, I guess, to provide or whatever.
But how do you let somebody determine your value based off of appearances in your marriage? Yeah. You know, that's a lot.
I wonder, like, was this her perception of what he would think, or did, was it in her head?
In my opinion, I thought that this was all her.
Okay.
I truly believed if her husband had saw her with gray hair, he would not have cared. Mm-hmm. He would have been like, I love you. She looked beautiful. I mean, she was a beautiful woman, gray hair or not. Mm-hmm. So I do not believe that it was something that he was putting on her. Mm-hmm. I think this was something that herself, maybe her mother, maybe society had led her to believe this is what she needed to do to keep this man interested or to keep him there or to assume the youthful.
Yeah.
You know, and I still look like I did in my 30s or whatever, you know?
And honestly, most times I think it is women.
Yeah. I don't think it's
most times I don't think they really care. They don't
have gray hair.
They looking at other things.
Right. And it's not the gray.
It ain't the gray.
Yes.
And it's even
it's
I think
us. We put it on each other.
Yeah.
You know, you may see a friend and be like, girl, you know, you have some gray hair, or maybe we should seriously, as women, unfortunately, we put this on other women. We have friends that we're friends with. You may tell her, like, maybe you want to do this, or have you tried that? I think a lot of it is, but it's also society telling us that this is how we're supposed to interact with each other. Right. This is what we're supposed to tell each other. Yeah. This is us helping each other.
Lord, helping.
Is it really helping?
Is it really helping? I even think about Tia Mowry when I don't know if you saw her Instagram post. It was early last year. She posted her gray hair. And it was a big deal.
Oh, yes.
Bigger than it should have been.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know it was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
I didn't follow like the reaction,
whole commentary and all that.
Commentary. I do remember her posting her gray hair.
It was a big deal. And she even spoke about how she came to terms with just accepting it and even putting herself out there with it. But before she did that, she was on set. And someone, I don't know if they were in the hair department, the beauty department, I don't recall right now, but someone on set was like, oh, you need to cover those up. Girls aren't supposed to have gray hair. That's like recently.
Girls aren't supposed to have gray hair.
Girls.
Wow.
First of all,
because
woman.
For men, it's salt and pepper is distinguished and sexy.
So wonderful for them.
They don't have any, it's like, what are y'all fighting?
Even when they start to lose their hair, they just shave it all off.
Yep.
Could we do that?
And we love bald heads.
And we love bald heads.
We love every version.
We love the gray hair, the bald heads, everything. We don't get that same respect. We don't get that same vulnerability as women in society at all.
Yeah. And again, I'm like, I don't know if I could blame them. I don't necessarily know if it's them or us, because even they have issues with their bald heads.
They do.
Yeah,
they do.
Some do.
They go through a whole grieving period.
Actually, they have anxiety and they get emotional about it. And the men that I know who've overcome it is because a woman was like, stop tripping. Just shave it. You look great. Yeah. You know, so, but they were in their heads.
I mean, when that thing started falling back, he's like, listen here.
Listen,
I want you to let that go.
I want you to let it all go.
Live. Be free.
It's okay.
Yeah. And that Beijing, y'all cut it out.
Not Beijing.
Just cut it out.
That is what it... People were putting that in their beards.
It's upsetting.
It's disturbing.
Don't get caught in the rain. I'm like, okay, we need to all come together and make some agreements.
Yes.
Let the Beijing go.
Let it go.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So that was that. Also, look, I haven't heard tell all her clients' business.
No names.
Oh yeah,
no
very
names.
respectful. Yeah, never. And I sit under your chair, so
no names.
Yeah, no names.
No.
Okay, the next podcast you do with somebody else, don't you tell them no.
I will
Okay. But the reason why I really wanted you to be here again. You know, you're the only guest I believe who I interviewed, and then I also had you on the show too, because all of these stories you were telling me, I'm like, I can't fit this all in this episode.
One, yes.
But the reason I even thought about we still have this fear of aging beyond gray hair is because of the high ponytail you told me about.
Yes.
Please tell her about this high ponytail.
Oh, I need to hear about this.
Hence, I have one today.
Oh, listen, I almost did one today, and I was like, wait, we talking about high ponytails today?
Yes.
Let me not do it.
So the myth with the high ponytail is that it's almost like a facelift. You know, you can pull your hair back.
It's not a myth.
I know. It really does work wonders. If you look at somebody, you know, just looking at their face and then take it and kind of just pull their hair up, it's like an instant facelift.
Oh,
it's a thread.
Sense.
It's a PDO thread.
So they have something now that they do where they kind of thread through. I don't know if we talked about that.
Yeah.
I saw that recently.
Yeah.
But I had a client that remember I told you we would put 2 small braids in her hair and pull them back and stitch them together because it kind of just gave her just enough of a lift that she was like, this is all I need.
Wow.
Yeah, so the high ponytail, it does work. It does work. It's a very youthful trick.
Let me tell you something. I had fallen in love with the high ponytail.
Yes.
I said, this just took off about 10 years.
It does. When you wear your hair down,
To make you,
it frames
15?
I know, because you already look so youthful. But it does. It really makes a difference.
Well, that's a 2-for-1 because, you know, a
Yes.
high ponytail is fly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And then you get a little lift.
You get a
too?
little lift.
Yeah.
Just a
Okay.
little bit. It just pulls everything just a little bit for you. So
Okay.
it definitely does the trick.
Wow.
Yes.
We got tips.
We got tips. And when she said it, I was like, oh, of course. Yeah, really? Like, I don't do that all the time. Like, that high
But the
ponytail
braids,
amazing.
when I was telling you about my client that does the braids, we kind of came up with that together because we were giving her traditional sew-ins, and she was like, when I take my sew-in out, I feel like my face doesn't look the same.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, really? What do you mean it doesn't look like this is your face? You look the same every time I see you. But I noticed what she was saying. When we were braided and we would stitch the braids together, you would kind of just see it go back and just a little bit. Right. And after that, we started incorporating that just in her natural hair. We would put a couple braids and stitch them together and then just style her hair like normal, like it was nothing.
Wow. That
Brilliant.
is the most cost-effective way
How about
I've
that?
ever heard.
How about that? That is plastic surgery on a budget.
Okay. Free 99, okay?
Yes. Yes.
There's something else I wanted to address with you all. Of course, we know the phrase everybody's familiar with, black don't crack.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful phrase. It makes you, I mean, it's a truthful phrase, you know. We age very differently, slower, and it's actually scientific. They've already proven that. It is absolutely scientific.
Okay.
But with that, I wonder if there is this pressure, subtle, silent pressure to maintain our youth, our glow, our beauty, and all that, to live up to this black don't crack. Because we've seen black that has cracked.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And you're taken aback.
Yes.
I was actually in the beauty salon recently, and it was weird. We were the girl who's braiding my hair, we saw this girl and we're like, how old are you? And I thought she was much older. She just had rough childhood, whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought she was much older. And I'm like, well, why couldn't she have been that age? Why was I just so taken aback? Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, does it have something to do with the fact that I think we're supposed to look younger than our age? And how does that affect us as we age? You think that's a thing?
That's an interesting question. I think that could vary because I think even within Black Don't Crack, I've always been told, like, the darker you are, the more likely you are to not crack. And people have told me, well, except you. So, yeah. And so I've expected to crack, but then people are surprised. They're like, oh, when they find out my age, they're like, and you light skinned too. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
so
my
that,
goodness. Oh my goodness.
I don't think I had that pressure for that reason because
they were expecting you to crack.
They were expecting me to crack.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's still melanin. It's just.
Yeah, a different type of melanin.
Yellow vanilla melanin.
Wow.
Yeah. So it may vary just depending on your own, maybe even the region you grew up in and what you heard and what you expected to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That is kind of true though. Yeah, we do expect lighter skinned people.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, no, not necessarily. All right. What do you think about that?
I do agree also that it does play into the stereotype of Black don't crack. And even with you talking about different regions, I also believe it depends on where you live. Because I feel like if you've been exposed to a harsher climate, a harsher region, maybe cold, extreme cold weather, extreme hot, you see a lot of people that have been out in the sun too long.
Wow.
And I feel like that also affects your skin. Maybe you've been out in the cold too long, you get extremely dry skin, so that also will affect your skin. So there's so many different factors that could make up a lot of that, but at the same time, it puts a lot of pressure on Black women to once again remain youthful.
Yeah.
To not have the gray hair, to have great skin, to, your neck's not, you don't have the turkey neck. And you don't have all of those things. We're expected not to have that. Yes. And like you said, Black does crack. I've seen a lot of Black that's cracked.
Oh, she cracks.
Brown skin, light skin.
Yeah.
In between, what did Beyonce song say? Beige, fluorescent beige.
I love that part.
It all cracks.
It all cracks.
Yes.
Oh my Lord! You just said the neck. It never lies. The
never
neck
lies.
and the hands too.
The hands.
And I have old lady hands because I work with my hands.
I've always had old lady hands.
Yeah, I've always had old lady hands. So my hands are going to give it away anyway.
Same,
but
right?
It does fall into that whole stereotype, and it's a lot of pressure
because
they expect you to look 10 years younger at all times than what you actually do. And then when you don't, it's like, oh, like you said, but
right. And I'm guilty
what
of that.
happened?
I was like,
what happened?
Who did that to you? Do y'all remember the 10 years challenge?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Instagram 10-year yes.
I said, who?
Yeah, some people were not supposed to post those pictures. Some people were not supposed to. You could have exempted out of this one.
The audacity. Aging where? Aging there.
Yes.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
It was, and I'm like, there it goes again.
Yeah.
Just let it happen. It is what it is. And you can look better. Let's normalize looking better.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That is a good point, though, like for Black women, because does it start to make you question your authenticity as a Black woman if you happen to be one that's cracking? That sounds bad that you're cracking. Oh, God.
And we've had evidence of it. We've had some people, I hate to say names, but we've had some celebrities.
Oh, yeah.
That we grew up with in very famous shows.
Oh, I know exactly.
We won't say her name. We're not going to say her name because I still love her.
You know what's crazy? I thought about her when I was on this episode. Continue.
But you look at her and you automatically, you would have never thought that she would look like that. But then you think about what you said. Is it because she's more fair-skinned? That she cracked a little bit more than the other the other people that were in that show with her.
Oh, who y'all talking about?
Oh, you know who
yeah, I will never say her name because we
Yeah,
love
we
her
don't
so
say it.
much.
Okay.
She's beautiful regardless.
Yeah.
But seeing her from her show days, seeing her now, it's a drastic difference.
It's night and day.
It's night and day.
And see, and
I
I
think
had
I know who you're talking
to
about.
I had to check myself with that because I love her so much. And I was like, is this reasonable? She's one of the brave ones who hasn't done anything to her face.
Right.
And I noticed I said brave.
Right.
She's one of the brave ones who said, I'm going to embrace who I am, what's happening, my aging. And to me, that's doing so gracefully in spite of, like, there was a lot of commentary about her that was insensitive, rude.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking, but she's just keeping it real.
Yep. This is what women that age look like.
This is what it looks like.
What's wrong with that?
Yes.
What's wrong with that? She's still beautiful.
Still beautiful.
She gave us some of the best years of her life in that show.
I'm still looking at it.
Still a character that everybody relates to and loves.
Yes, exactly.
So what's wrong with that?
That kind of broke my heart, but it definitely made me look at myself. It was cruel.
It was very cruel. Some of the comments were very cruel.
It was cruel.
And that's probably what plays into why we chase youth, because we see what happens to the people who embrace their nature.
That's exactly right.
And nobody wants to be on the receiving end of that.
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah. And unfortunately, the society that we live in, that is an instant gratitude, instant gratification society. Yeah. Everything is posted online immediately.
Yeah.
You're living someone's life with them. So you see the process with them. You don't get to bow out gracefully or have a moment where it's like, okay, I'm done with this part of my life. I'm going to go back to my regular life now. You don't get that opportunity.
Right.
I even think about Instagram filters and how they're even jacking us up. Because I mean, now on Instagram, I see a lot of fly older people on Instagram, and I'm like, but are they using filters too? Like,
probably.
Yeah, what's happening? Like, I don't know. I just feel like we are definitely saturated in a culture that, of course, embraces youth and all that, and it's just.
It makes you chase perfection, and it gets you addicted to perfection. So then when you see flaws in yourself, it makes you panic, it makes you anxious. So it's a problem. I mean, if you're used to, or you get used to posting, and then all you got to do is swipe a few times to get the right filter that takes away every flaw.
Right.
Then when you're actually looking at yourself in the mirror and something pops up, your anxiety about that is going to be way more heightened than had you not gotten used to seeing yourself like this. And you see that the world sees you like this. And now you go out and you're going to have this anxiety, well, what happens when they see this line now in person, when they see me?
Right.
Now I got to go.
Or what happens when I don't match what I look like on Instagram?
Exactly.
There's so many people that meet people and you're like, wait, you don't look like what I thought you looked like. Well, you saw me online. You saw the filters and the backgrounds and the ring lighting and the full face of makeup.
Yeah.
No, you didn't see me in the supermarket.
Right.
With the sweats on and the high ponytail to try to pull everything back.
Right.
But also, we're millennials. And so we also look at it differently. I believe Generation Z, they use filters like on another level.
Yeah.
And Generation Alpha, like they use filters on a whole nother level. I know some guys who have met women and they're like, you are not the same person. You don't even look like there are filters that they always use to the point where you're like, oh, that is your face. And then you meet someone and it's like, you're not that person at all.
Yeah.
There are some filters I don't use because they give me complexes.
Yeah. Okay.
Like when they make my nose a little too thin and just do some, and I'm not gonna front. Sometimes I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's kind of cute.
But that's not me.
That's not me.
That's
Delete
not me.
that.
Yeah.
Delete that now.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna get you in a lot
I
of
don't
trouble.
want anything change my features.
And so many of these filters do. You can have high cheekbones. You can have bigger lips.
Yes.
Wow.
You can change the shape of your eyes.
Yes.
It gives you eyeliner.
A little lighter.
Yeah.
A little brighter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Your whole complexion could be completely different. Darker, lighter, whatever you want. So people are definitely playing around with fire with this.
Because then that's going to make you want to hide behind the internet.
Absolutely.
You're not even going to want to socialize in person anymore. Now you become this person behind a phone.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing all of that regularly, why would you want to meet with people? They're going to know.
Like, how does that work? That's very true. Like, how does that work when you're constantly giving yourself a different face and then someone meets you and, who are you?
I just think of the show Catfish.
Oh, yeah. Well, those are sometimes just completely different people.
Yeah.
Like, that's no longer a filter.
But
That's
like
a
the
different person.
idea is that they want to fulfill something within themselves and they don't need to see you in person.
I see.
Right.
They want to feel like this beautiful person. They want to get the compliments and get the emotional, what's the word?
Fulfillment
from that.
Absolutely.
And they know I'm not going to get this in person. So I'm not even going to worry about that.
I can only be this person online. I can only be this person on the phone or on the computer, because in real life, it doesn't match.
Oh, my goodness.
It doesn't match.
Even in addition to Instagram, Zoom. After, the whole pandemic, all of us were forced to, stay at home. Of course, we're using Zoom more often, and people are constantly looking at themselves. It gives them more opportunity to be more critical. They even say plastic surgery has increased because of this.
Because with Zoom, you are literally looking at your face constantly.
Constantly.
It's like looking in the mirror. If you were to translate that to your everyday life, it's like walking around with a mirror at work. Absolutely. And you don't do that.
Absolutely.
So that makes sense that people would say, wait a minute.
And we all know the people that look at themselves on the camera and not whoever's speaking. You ever notice that? I know. I'm guilty of that too. I'm guilty of that too.
I literally look at myself most of the time.
This is looking and you're like...
Look, I'm not.
Let me turn this way.
And don't let it be boring. When I'm not going to this front, I will just literally just be like, okay, this is, posing.
Full on photo shoot. Full on photo shoot, yes.
But you can even change your features on Zoom now.
Wait, there's...
Yes! You could change, you could change your complexion. You can even...
What?
So they did... So this is on top of the backgrounds that they offer? Now you can change your...
of the backgrounds. Let me tell you what I did.
Wow.
I put a whole face of makeup on without touching any makeup.
Wait a second.
On Zoom gave me some cute brows.
Okay.
Zoom gave me some brows. I would say, okay, Zoom.
I'm here for it.
Gave me some eyeliner, even gave me some lipstick.
Well, I will tell you that during the pandemic, when a lot of women were on Zoom and that was your only way of communicating and kind of being at work, I was creating at-home coloring kits because so many women were like, I cannot go on the Zoom meeting with gray hair. Wow. My company, the salons are closed. I can't get in to get my hair colored. My company has never seen me with gray hair or my hair not done. So I had an over influx of people wanting wigs, units, and also wanting to be able to color their hair at home because now your whole company is on this call where you may see this person once in a blue moon at a meeting in passing in the office, but now you are literally mirror staring at them for hours at a time. So I was dropping off and having clients come pick up home hair coloring kits and doing Zoom calls with them to have them help them color their hair so that they were presentable enough to be on these Zoom meetings with their companies.
Wow.
Okay. Before I go into that, we're going to give you a plug in the show notes because I'm sure people are going to want to know what these coloring kits, you know, what you have and even your units. So we'll make sure we have that. But that reminds me of the marriage.
Yeah.
Like you can't hide. You're still trying to hide. And so now you're trying to hide from people at your job. Yep. And it's like you have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
No, you're just there. You're there staring in the mirror.
And then the pressure of, what will happen if they see my gray hair? So one, the woman who's in, in the marriage where she can't be authentic, will he leave me? Will he not see me as valuable? Will I not see myself as valuable in this relationship? Is there agreement that I'm breaking? But then to have that added pressure on a job, will I get fired? Will they see me as
will I not get the promotion?
Will I not get the promotion?
Because I'm too old. Because maybe they'll give it to this younger, more youthful person at the company. Why? Because they don't have gray hair?
Oh my goodness.
But people are in their thoughts about a lot of different things when it comes to beauty, youth.
Last year there was a Canadian broadcaster. Oh, I wish I had her name. She dyed her hair gray and she believed her firing or her not firing,
like her demotion,
was due to the fact that she decided to embrace her gray hair. There was like a whole movement behind it. I wish I got her name, but this is still a thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I didn't realize that.
Real.
Absolutely.
Well, with the gray hair, I'm thinking as long as your skin is tight, people will give you a break. It's like women still are having issues sporting their gray hair at work.
Absolutely.
Do we know any Black celebrities who are rocking gray hair? Can you think of any? Silence.
Cicely Tyson?
I literally was thinking Cicely Tyson.
That's the only one.
She's the only one. And the only other person I would say would be like Jennifer Lewis. I feel like she has her gray in her hair, and she wears it her natural.
Yes.
She's been all over. She has a book out now, a New York Times bestseller.
Okay.
She rocks her afro. She has a little gray, but there's not a lot. When I automatically think of it, I think of white women because I feel like it's more acceptable for them to be gray than it is for us.
Because we can't crack.
Because we can't crack. Because black don't crack. Because we're supposed to be 20 for the remainder of our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, I don't think there was anybody that I recall besides those two.
I'm still trying to think. And Cicely, she would change her. First of all, Cicely Tyson, rest in peace. The Honorable Cicely Tyson, legendary Cicely Tyson. She was like in her 90s when she passed away.
Yes.
So it was kind of like, okay, y'all, what do you think? Yeah,
Right.
come on now.
Yeah.
Right.
And even then she would like change it up, which is dope. But like, again, I don't think there's anyone else who, and to be honest, are there any men?
I feel like a lot of the men don't really have a lot of hair either, which goes back to like the bald or the very low cut. There are men that are of age that should have gray hair, but they don't. Just like we think about Auntie Oprah.
Oh,
she should have gray hair.
That's
she
so
doesn't.
true.
Oprah's hair is always flawless. She does not have gray hair.
And brown.
Yeah. Well,
Rich
that's the
brown.
thing, too. I think that a lot of black women, instead of going gray, we go to a lighter brown. Right? It's like the kind of in-between. I'm not jet black or dark anymore, but I'm not gray. So I'm kind of like this in-between, brown color that kind of blends a little bit easier.
And it looks better because sometimes, I mean, I mostly see this with men. They get their coloring wrong. I don't know if they're doing this in their bathrooms alone.
Just 5, just for me, all that, yes.
But it'll be like black. And I'm like, nah, sir.
Yeah, you've never had that color hair in your life.
Never had it.
But now you've purchased it.
How dare you? How dare you? So, okay, now you purchased it. That's funny. Okay, so to just close this out, what does gray hair mean to you?
Wow, that's a heavy question because I feel gray hair means to me that I've lived and I'm still here and I'm still living. It means that I've experienced some things that these girls with this nice, beautiful, luscious, dark hair have not experienced.
Ain't that the truth? That's the whole truth.
So, it's life. It means I'm living. I'm still here living.
Which is why you're allowing them
to just be themselves, to join the party.
Yeah. I may have some illusions in what I think gray hair is. So it's kind of dual. It's like, I agree. It means I'm still here. It means I've had a journey. And then on the other hand, it means I'm running out of time for certain things. It means that I might be deficient in something. It means my body isn't producing hair color like it used to. So, it's a reminder of time.
Yeah.
And then it makes me think about the things I haven't done yet. And speaking about what you touched on earlier about being single, it's huge because you think about, does this make me less attractive?
Yeah.
You know? So all of those things come through your mind and it adds to the anxiety of what gray hair means.
How is society going to receive me? Every single thing. I feel like what you said, I'm like, okay, I've lived.
Yeah.
Ooh, I've lived.
And I'm still
living. Okay. That is exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
And how, honestly, I still feel. But it's very empowering to hear women say that. What you just said. And it's also empowering to see women embracing their gray hair and so gracefully.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's one thing to say, I'm embracing my gray hair, but your gray hair looks awful.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just thick, dry, and unruly. But to see beautiful, luscious locks, even when you talked about the woman who said, I'm not going to dye my hair. And now that she's much older, it's stark white. And I mean, I can only imagine what this woman looks like.
Oh, she's beautiful. She started graying in her 20s.
Okay.
And she was like, I just, I started coloring it. I couldn't do it. And her hair is beautiful. It's long. It's healthy. It's white. Wow. She's a pastor.
Come on.
Yes. She's a well-known pastor on the East Coast. And she's stunning. Skin flawless, hair flawless. You know, she she looks beautiful, not youthful, but she looks her best. She looks beautiful.
What I like
Yeah.
to hear.
Yeah.
So this everything you just said, I want to get back to that because I'm like, okay, so how do I get around that? How do I get around that hurdle of basically attributing gray hair to your time is nearly up? Your time, I don't necessarily know, other than reminding myself of women who have done incredible things after 40 or even with, maybe not with gray hair because they may have still been dyeing it, but you know what I mean? So it's like, but at a certain age, it's just reminding, I think about Tina Turner.
Oh.
She's one that just came to me. Tina Turner, when she turned 40, isn't that when she changed her career?
Oh, okay. I thought you meant about gray.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, she left the
her
country,
career
right?
Started basically at 40.
At 40. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. That documentary, I didn't know about it. It aired during the pandemic. I believe it was 2020. And I had no idea. She literally got, like, you know, she was doing things, but she wasn't quite there. And she actually had an executive believe in her and say, look, let's do this. And she was 40 at the time. Wow. And from there, she started and she took off. And it was documentary is crazy. So inspiring to me. That's why things like examples like this matter.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
I was blown away. I'm like, life can start.
Right.
You can start something new and go to the highest heights after 40, after 50. Right. You know, like there really is not a limit except the one you place on yourself.
Absolutely.
And
so in my mind, I'm thinking if I see more and if I allow myself to just fill myself up with women who are doing incredible things and have accomplished incredible things after the age of 40, then this idea of getting older doesn't mean your time is up. It's just like, it actually won't mean anything. You can keep on going because you can, of course, die young. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't really matter. As long as you have the vision and you have the will and the capability to do whatever it is. And who knows what was written for you? Who knows when it was supposed to happen? A lot of times it's like, well, it should have happened by now. I think of a lot of things, from career to just anything. It's like, maybe it was always in the cards for you to do this after 40 years old, after a certain age, you know?
Yes.
It makes me think about like age as like parts. You know, like parts in a film. You know how there's like act 1, act 2?
Yeah.
And so each decade is a part. You know, part 2 is your 20s. Part 3 is your 30s. And you can get all the way to part 8 and still have something completely new that you experience.
Right.
And when you look at life like reaching levels as opposed to diminishing time, then, you know, I feel like that's more encouraging as far as, what you can still do. Because you're still alive.
You're still alive.
When you're still here,
you're still living.
You still have time.
Right. Absolutely.
Even LaShonda mentioned that, just about flowing with the change of life, like just being able to ebb and flow. So when you get to that new part, it's like, no, that doesn't mean it's over. You're just being shifted. And so let's think about all that life has to offer you in this new stage of your life that can be just as beautiful, if not even more beautiful than before.
Yes.
That's just it. That goes back to being beautiful. More, you know, basically that. Like, you know, I'm not looking the same. My life isn't the same. It's richer. It's deeper. It's more complicated.
And as you get to the later parts, now you have all of the wisdom and experience from your previous parts to add to that. So it has to be richer.
Yeah.
You know, because you have all of that to bring along with it.
This has been wonderful. Anybody else want to say anything? Are we good? Are we all going gray?
I currently am.
Come on, listen.
It's a journey.
But it's a journey.
It is.
And it can change, and that's okay.
And if
you decide that you don't want it anymore, that's okay.
That is so true. Thank you for that, because it's like, it's almost like the natural hair movement.
Yes.
It became almost a little violent. Like, straightening your hair now. Right. It's like, well, wait a minute. I just thought, it's just the freedom and allowing yourself to embrace all of you, who you are, regardless of the decisions you make.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
So if you don't see me with it,
that's okay. There will be no judgment. There will be no judgment. We will still love you.
Yay! All right, that's it. We good.
Right.
Wonderful.